There are pains that have no name. Among them, one of the most silent and cutting is seeing a child drift away from faith. That child who once prayed holding hands now seems so distant from any form of prayer, church, or spirituality. Parents notice it in their eyes. That sparkle is gone. The sparkle of someone who trusts in God, who believes in the power of worship, praise, and living Christianity day by day. Suddenly, conflicts arise, conversations turn into arguments, and values that once seemed solid now slip away like sand through fingers. And the question echoes in every mother's and father's heart: where did I lose my child? That's why, in this video, we'll learn about 3 sacred moments when you should pray with all your heart for your child, as taught by Padre Pio. Maybe you've never realized the power of these prayers offered at the right times, but they can transform your family's life and spiritual path. To strengthen this chain of faith, write in the comments, "Lord, protect and guide my child at all times." A simple prayer that is already an act of love and protection. Now, join me as we explore these 3 sacred moments Padre Pio pointed to for powerful and confident intercession for our children. It's not rare to see young Christians, raised in homes full of faith, get lost along the way. Wrong influences creep in subtly, a friendship here, some content there, a rejection somewhere else. Before you realize it, they are deep in dangerous choices, leaving the Bible aside, mocking religion, doubting the faith testimonies that once shaped them. This pain, sadly, is common, and it must be spoken about. Because many parents stay silent, swallow their tears, and carry this weight alone in their hearts. They keep going to church, attending Bible studies, but with a lump in their throats, quietly asking God that their child will come back. But what if there was a heavens opening that only a mother or father could access through devotional and persistent prayer? What if, amid such spiritual battles, there were sacred moments, times chosen by God, when prayers for a child were especially heard? According to a spiritual warning from a man of prayer, Padre Pio, this is not only possible, it's real. And that's what we need to talk about now, with faith and eyes open to the supernatural. Padre Pio, known for his deep spirituality and mystical gifts, did not speak out of emotion. Every word he shared was marked by discernment, prayer, and revelation. Among his many teachings, one warning stands out for troubled parents. There are 3 specific times when heaven opens extraordinarily for those who pray for their children. This is not superstition, but spiritual sensitivity, like perceiving heaven's rhythms and the moments when prayer echoes more powerfully. At these times, according to him, the plea pierces through the clouds with greater force and reaches God's heart directly. This revelation, blending faith, prayer, and wisdom, needs to be understood with a devotional heart. Padre Pio didn't reveal these times by chance, but because he saw what many don't, that the spiritual battle involving our children is real and calls for vigilant parents who pray not just with faith but with strategy. Christianity teaches us that there is a time for everything, as the Bible says in Ecclesiastes. And if there is a time to laugh and a time to cry, there is also a time to fight in prayer. It's not just about praying more. It's about praying better, intentionally, purposefully, and yes, at the right time. That's why he firmly revealed these 3 sacred times. 3 moments which, if faithfully observed, can become the key to reversing stories, breaking spiritual chains, and bringing children back to faith. A mother who understands this doesn't pray haphazardly. She stands as a true spiritual warrior who not only cries out but keeps watch. Now the question is, what are these times, and why does heaven move so specially in them? Prayer is always powerful, that's no doubt. But there are moments when heaven seems closer to earth, as if a veil opens and the voice of faith echoes more clearly. Padre Pio teaches that praying with faith is essential, but praying at the right time can be the turning point. It's not magic or an exact formula, but spiritual sensitivity. Just like in worship there are moments of praise, adoration, and preaching, prayer has its sacred rhythms too. Imagine knocking on heaven's door when it's already slightly open. The answer comes quicker, surer, and more effective. Many parents pray for their children, and that's beautiful. But few know that aligning that prayer with Padre Pio's revealed moments changes everything. It's not about quantity but spiritual quality. It's not about repeating words, but about speaking when angels gather the most urgent petitions. Think of it as a direct line. Praying at 3 a.m., 3 p.m., or 9 p.m. is not just an act of faith, it's an act of spiritual obedience, of attention to what heaven has revealed. And where there is obedience, there is blessing. Many faith testimonies are born from this sensitive listening to the right time. Perhaps the greatest secret lies here. It's not only what you say, but when you say it. Imagine a mother, exhausted, choosing to rise at 3 a.m. in the silence of the night to entrust her child's name to Jesus Christ. What does this act communicate to heaven? Faith, sacrifice, unconditional love. And it's these three things that move God's heart. Prayer at the right time becomes a seed planted in the most fertile soil. And the harvest, it begins to come from where least expected. Speaking of the early hours, it is at this moment that Mary, according to Padre Pio, is closest to those who suffer. Faith grows stronger when its fruits are seen. And few fruits are as moving as a child's return to God's ways. Many stories of faith start with a mother kneeling in her room, often in silence, shedding tears no one sees, except heaven. One such story is Dona Elenis, who spent 6 years praying for her son caught in drugs. She chose to pray every day at 3 p.m., as Padre Pio taught. At first, nothing happened. But by the 6th month, he asked to return to church. Today, he leads the youth group at his parish. A miracle. Yes. But a miracle nurtured by persistent prayer. Another story is Marta's. She decided to take on the 21-day challenge. Her daughter had become aggressive, stopped attending Bible studies, and rejected anything connected to faith. Marta began praying every day at 9 p.m., consecrating her daughter's name to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. It wasn't easy. Some nights she barely kept her eyes open. But something started to change. Her daughter began speaking to her kindly again, asked to talk about God, and months later, returned to the church's worship group. Prayer isn't just words spoken into the air. It's an ongoing act of love that opens doors where before there were only walls. These testimonies aren't exceptions. They reveal a powerful spiritual pattern. When a mother or father prays with faith and perseverance, even through exhaustion, something shifts in the unseen world. And it doesn't matter if the child is far away, rebellious, cold, or indifferent to religion. Prayer bridges that distance. More than that, it plants seeds of faith that bloom in their own time. And often, that time begins in the quiet hours of the early morning. More specifically, at 3 a.m., when, according to Padre Pio, Mary's intercession becomes even more powerful. 3 in the morning. While the world sleeps, heaven is more awake than ever. It's in that deep silence of the night that, Padre Pio says, Mary's heart overflows in intercession for the most troubled souls, especially for lost children, confused and caught in dangerous choices. This is the hour when Mary's pain, seeing her son on the cross, echoes in the hearts of mothers who carry the cross of watching their children drift from faith. It's no coincidence. It's a call. An invitation to those brave enough to rise and pray when all is dark, both outside and inside the soul. At this hour, prayers are not simple words, they are living sacrifices. Praying at 3 a.m. demands renunciation, demands true faith. It's not the kind of prayer said in a hurry, but with surrender. Imagine a mother rising every day at this hour, even when she doesn't feel like it, driven only by love and faith. She consecrates her child's name, lays down her pain, prays with the Bible in her hands and tears in her eyes. This carries spiritual weight. Angels move. Mary welcomes. Jesus listens. The night becomes an altar. And in that moment, even if everything seems the same, heaven has already begun to act. That's why many devotionals guide that if you face an impossible cause, especially one tied to someone's conversion, pray at this hour. not as if trying to buy a miracle, but as one who understands the value of a prayer that hurts. Padre Pio always said heaven is moved more by prayers made in sacrifice than those made in comfort. And when it comes to children, a mother's love can move mountains. But what happens when this 3 a.m. prayer meets another equally sacred hour, the hour when Jesus gave his life out of love? At 3 p.m., heaven fell silent. It was at that exact moment that Jesus Christ, after so much suffering, gave up his spirit. It wasn't just the death of a good man, it was the redemptive sacrifice that opened the doors of eternity. Padre Pio reminds us this hour carries a unique spiritual power. It is the hour of mercy. Those who pray at 3 p.m., especially for their children, dive into the most sacred hour of the gospel, when grace was poured out on humanity. It's as if, by praying, you place your child's name inside the open heart of Christ, the same heart pierced by love. This is the ideal time to offer a prayer of surrender. Many parents, moved by faith and guided by this devotional practice, choose to stop whatever they're doing at this moment and, even if just for a few minutes, stand before God. It doesn't have to be a long prayer. It can be a heartfelt Our Father, a Bible verse spoken aloud, or simply repeating, "Jesus, I trust in you. Take care of my child." The power lies less in the words and more in the willingness to trust. Prayer at 3 p.m. holds the power to heal invisible wounds, to free, to restore, because it happens exactly when Christ set us free. It's curious how the rush of the day tends to make us forget this moment. But those who understand the spirituality behind this sacred hour begin to see life with new eyes. Many testimonies tell of children returning to church after their parents decided to pray faithfully at 3 p.m. every day. And when that prayer becomes a habit, it changes the atmosphere of the home. It's as if the worship service itself begins right there, in the middle of the living room. And just as Jesus gave himself for us at this hour, there's another moment, quieter but equally powerful, that closes the cycle of prayers revealed by Padre Pio. When the clock strikes 9 p.m., the day begins to quiet down. It's as if everything around slows, and the world reminds us it's time to gather our hearts. Padre Pio teaches that this is the moment when angels collect the day's intentions, including prayers for children. This is the hour of silent surrender, when words fade but trust remains. It's when the Christian looks to heaven and, even without understanding God's timing or silence, continues to say, "I believe." The spirituality of this hour isn't in the noise of pleading, but in the serenity of faith. Many parents say the 9 p.m. prayer has become a refuge. It's the end of the day, and with it comes weariness, doubts, worries about the children's future. But it's also when the soul finds space to give itself fully. Those who pray faithfully at 9 p.m. aren't shouting for answers. They're trusting that heaven works even in the dark. It's a more mature, more devotional prayer. And that touches God's heart deeply. A father who places his child's name in the Lord's hands at this hour, even in silence, is practicing a high form of worship and trust. Padre Pio said this nightly surrender is like closing your eyes and laying everything on the altar. It's no longer time to argue with God or try to control what only He can transform. It's time to rest in His love. And when parents do this, they sleep more peacefully, knowing they've entrusted their children to divine care. And the most beautiful part, many of those children, who once seemed so lost, began to change precisely after adopting this quiet habit of prayer. But what exactly makes these prayers, whether at dawn, afternoon, or evening, so powerful? The answer lies in what Padre Pio taught about the prayer that moves heaven the most. Padre Pio said firmly, "The prayer that touches heaven isn't the most beautiful or the longest. It's the one born from pain but ends in trust. Praying when everything's fine is easy. But praying when your heart is breaking, when your child is distant, when you have no strength or words left, that's the prayer that rises like incense before God. It's in those moments that true spirituality appears. And those who pray with faith, even amid suffering, are offering a kind of silent praise few understand. But heaven understands. And it answers. Some mothers pray while washing dishes, fathers pray in the car on the way home from work, others make the bathroom their secret altar. Devotional prayer doesn't need a perfect setting, it needs surrender. Sacrifice here doesn't mean meaningless suffering. It means loving so deeply you're willing to rise at dawn, fast, trade rest for intercession. Examples: choosing a Friday to fast silently for your child, reading a gospel each day with their name in your heart, or writing letters of faith to God, pouring out everything you can't say aloud. All of this is sacrifice with purpose. And that's exactly what moves heaven. It's not the volume of prayer, but the love it carries. Padre Pio knew this, and that's why he insisted, pray with faith, yes. But also pray with sacrifice. Not a sacrifice that destroys, but one that purifies. And when this kind of prayer meets the sacred times he revealed, something deep begins to change. Because behind all this lies a spiritual reality we often forget. Our children are the target of an intense, invisible battle. And that's what we need to talk about now. Padre Pio didn't hesitate to warn that young people are the main battlefield of our times. We live in an age where the influence of evil is more subtle but stronger, acting on choices, friendships, and the content we consume. The spirituality surrounding our children is constantly tested by a flood of doubts, ideologies opposed to faith, and a culture that often rejects Christianity. That's why it's no exaggeration to say that parents' prayer acts like an invisible shield, protecting these young people from moral confusion and drifting away from the church. Understanding that the battle is real brings urgency and responsibility to those who believe. Bible studies, worship services, and sermons are precious spaces, but true defense also happens at home, in every silent moment of prayer, in every testimony of faith a parent offers. And the Bible teaches us that fervent prayer has the power to disarm the enemy's plans. When a young person feels loved, valued, and protected by their parents' faith, their spirituality grows strong. That's where transformation begins, and the gospel stops being a distant concept and becomes a living reality. That's why priests, leaders, and even saints like Padre Pio emphasize the importance of constancy and active faith. Praying with intention, persistence, and at the right time isn't just devotional practice, it's a true spiritual strategy. It's like an invisible army moving to defend those who haven't yet found their way but hold a special place in God's heart. And if you're a parent, here's an invitation to enter this battle fully, with an open heart and prayer in your hands. And for that, nothing better than a concrete, powerful challenge to support this journey. Amid so many spiritual battles, it's essential to turn faith into concrete action. With his wisdom, Padre Pio proposes a simple but transformative challenge. Pray for 21 consecutive days, always at the same sacred hour he revealed, saying your child's name out loud. This constancy creates a strong spiritual connection, a bond that doesn't break even when fatigue or doubt tries to creep in. It's a daily commitment, an act of faith that goes beyond fleeting feelings. It builds a bridge between heaven and your child's life. Joining this challenge requires no special conditions, just an open heart and the will to place all the struggle into the hands of Jesus Christ and Mary. The recommendation is clear. Choose one of the 3 times, 3 a.m., 3 p.m., or 9 p.m., and make this prayer an unbreakable habit. It can be an Our Father, a Hail Mary, or even a spontaneous prayer, as long as your child's name is spoken with confidence and love. It's as if each day in this journey lays a firm stone to build a spiritual wall that protects and transforms. Many parents who took this challenge testify to concrete miracles. Children who changed their life's course, returned to church services, began studying the Gospels again, started sharing faith testimonies. All this is the fruit of constant prayer, made at the right time, with faith and sacrifice. And the best part is, this challenge doesn't end after 21 days. It opens doors to active, lasting faith, a devotional lifestyle that endures even through storms. Now imagine what can happen if we keep strong in this prayer, especially in the moments ahead today. Consistency in prayer is a powerful force in Christianity. Padre Pio taught that daily faithfulness in calling on God, especially at the sacred hour, is what truly opens heaven's heart to act in our lives and our children's lives. Often, miracles don't come immediately, but perseverance is the key that keeps the flame of hope and faith alive. It's like watering a plant every day. At first, it may seem nothing happens, but over time, the fruits appear, and the transformation becomes visible. Testimonies from mothers and fathers show that when they keep their 21-day prayer commitment, the spiritual atmosphere at home begins to change. That child who once seemed distant begins to show interest in Bible study, worship, and praise. The gospel that seemed forgotten comes back into family conversations, and worship finds its place again in the heart of the home. Faith, once threatened by distance, finds its way back, all because constant prayer acts as a shield, a direct channel for God to work His will. Padre Pio also emphasized that heaven's promises never fail for those who don't give up. Persistence is like knocking insistently on the door of God's heart, which opens to welcome the cry made with love and sacrifice. It's important to remember that this spiritual battle is daily and requires discipline, but the reward is great. So, when parents pray with faith, at the right time, and with perseverance, they begin to live a real, concrete spirituality that transforms not only their children but the whole family. A mother's prayer is a mystery that goes beyond what we see. Padre Pio said that even when no immediate change is visible, that prayer is working deeply in the spiritual realm. It's like a silent, invisible current that crosses barriers and reaches places no human words ever could. Often, the impact of a mother's prayer is only noticed long after, but it is never in vain. This power is moved by the purest love, one that never tires, never gives up, and never loses hope. There is something especially powerful in the faith of a praying mother. It's as if her heart becomes a direct channel to the heart of Jesus Christ and to the protective mantle of Mary. Even through sleepless nights and physical exhaustion, that prayer never stops. It reaches the angels, who become guardians of the children, creating a spiritual environment of protection around the family. This invisible strength sustains the spiritual battle and often makes the difference between falling and salvation. Padre Pio taught that the fruits of a mother's prayer may take time to appear but never fail. That's why he encouraged parents not to lose heart, to renew their faith and prayer daily. And this leads us to a precious lesson: heaven acts on God's timing, not ours. It's an invitation to patience, trust, and persistence, even when all seems silent. This surrender prepares us for the next great truth about prayer and divine timing. One of the greatest challenges of faith is learning to trust God's timing, especially when praying for a loved one. Padre Pio taught that often prayers made with faith don't bring immediate answers, but that doesn't mean they were in vain. Christian spirituality reminds us that God's time is different from our hurried clocks. While we want quick results, God works in a dimension where every moment is perfectly prepared to bring the greatest blessing possible. This understanding is essential for parents who pray for their children. Anxiety, anguish, and even discouragement may try to steal hope, but it is precisely in those moments that faith must grow stronger. Just as the Gospel tells of the patience of the saints and the perseverance of the prophets, constant prayer, even without seeing signs, keeps the door of grace open. Every prayer made at the sacred time revealed by Padre Pio is recorded in heaven, and the harvest, though delayed, will be abundant. Accepting that heaven acts on God's time and not ours is also an invitation to full surrender. It means placing your child in the hands of Jesus Christ and the Virgin Mary, trusting that their love is greater than any earthly challenge. And it's this surrender that gives strength to continue, even when all seems silent. That trust prepares the heart for the final powerful prayer that consecrates the child to the Sacred Heart of Jesus and to Mary's protective mantle, a spiritual act that closes this cycle of prayer but opens the door to a new beginning. The time comes to entrust everything, to consecrate the child to the Sacred Heart of Jesus and Mary's protective mantle, following Padre Pio's spiritual guidance. This prayer is more than words. It is a deep act of faith and surrender carrying the strength of generations of devotion and testimonies. When a mother or father speaks their child's name with love and trust, they place that beloved soul under divine protection, believing that nothing is beyond the reach of Jesus Christ's love and Mary's maternal intercession. The prayer can be silent, with an open heart, or spoken aloud with conviction. Something simple that touches heaven, like, "Sacred Heart of Jesus, I ask you to cover / child's name with your infinite love. Holy Mother, wrap him or her in your protective mantle and intercede for her salvation and protection. May faith be reborn in her heart, and may the gospel be a light on her path." Repeating this daily creates a spiritual bond that strengthens the family's faith and supports the spiritual battle against the forces trying to pull children away from the church. This is not a magic formula, but a practice of deep, sincere love. Padre Pio taught that prayer made with an open heart, persistence, and faith moves heaven and makes the impossible happen. This final consecration seals the commitment to prayer, an act that involves Christianity, spirituality, faith, and the certainty that Jesus Christ, through Mary's intercession, never abandons the children brought before him. Now, only one step remains: sharing this message and spreading this chain of prayer so more mothers and fathers can experience this transformation. Faith cannot be isolated, something kept only for oneself. Padre Pio taught that true spirituality shows itself in communion, testimony, and sharing. When you write your child's name in the comments, when you share this message with other parents, you're building a powerful chain of prayer and faith. This is the true strength of Christianity, joining hearts and voices so the gospel becomes alive, present in every home, every story, every transformed life. This active faith has an impact far beyond what can be seen. Every gesture, every shared word is a silent praise that strengthens the church and renews hope in difficult times. Young Christians find inspiration in their parents' example to return to the right path, to dive into Bible study, and to celebrate worship with renewed hearts. The prayer that began in the quiet hours of the early morning, in the surrender at 3 p.m., or in the trust of 9 p.m., comes alive when it's shared, when it spreads like fertile seed. So don't let this message stay locked inside your heart. Let it grow, reach other mothers and fathers who, like you, face the pain of seeing their children drift from faith. Invite them to pray, to join the challenge, to trust in the power of prayer and love. This is the mission Padre Pio left us, a journey of faith, persistence, and spiritual victory. Together, you'll be shaping a future where praise and worship become daily nourishment, and faith the true foundation of family life. Now is the time to put into practice everything you've learned about these 3 sacred moments of prayer revealed by Padre Pio. Are you truly willing to commit to this active faith, one that goes beyond words and turns into real action? Have you thought about the impact that constant prayer, made at the right moment, can have on your child's life and on your family? Are you ready to be that light in their spiritual journey? Don't let fear or doubt paralyze you. The change begins the moment you decide to act. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these times will you choose to start your daily prayer? Do you already have your child's name in mind? Write it here in the comments so we can pray together, build this powerful chain, and multiply testimonies of faith. And if this message touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any content that can strengthen your journey in spirituality, Christianity, and devotion to Jesus Christ. Let's transform prayer into a real force in your life and in the lives of your children, together.